I challenging myself. I clicked it. We're going live. We're going to have a great conversation tonight. I'm so excited to see all of you Black Carnivores. And yeah, I am revved up and started and so
I
excited,
challenging
oops,
myself. I clicked it. We're
for
going live.
for 2022. I know. So excited that I forgot to press the mute button over here on my end. But yeah, I'm really yeah, we're ready to go for 2022. And I actually last week or the last time we talked, Arian, you were talking about how you were kind of going all beef and or that you were just sort of sliding in that way. And I too find myself eating, almost exclusively beef. So I don't know, January might just be a good time to do beef, salt, and water.
Yeah, it's feeling like a good reset month. I think I had ground beef yesterday, and I did put a couple pieces of bacon with it to add some flavor, but that was it was literally like four slices of
Hmm.
bacon and a pound of ground beef.
Hmm.
It wasn't much, and I haven't. My mom told me about a sale on eggs, and I'll probably buy some, but I don't know when I'm going to eat them because I have no desire for
Hmm.
eggs right now.
Hmm. I just got some eggs. I hadn't had any in quite a while. So, yeah, nice. Okay. So I have not wanted ground beef, and I would say for a tip to everybody, um, sometimes you go through these phases where you just don't want something.
Mhm.
And listen to that. Don't try to force yourself. Listen to it. And I know, ground beef is cheap, and so it is like a good option, for when things are a little tight. But I would say chuck roast is not that much more expensive, and it you're not going to get the same kind of feeling that you get from ground beef. Do you ever get tired of ground beef,
Oh, all
Arian?
the time.
Oh, okay.
Like
Yeah.
right now, I'm tired of ground beef. I ate it because it was the so I had taken out it and a chuck roast, and so I took those out like the night before, and I cooked the ground beef in the morning, and then I had the chuck roast, and that was so I ate the ground beef while the chuck roast was cooking. If I could have had that chuck roast done, like if I had just done it overnight or something, I probably would have just
Hmm.
eaten that because like this ground beef, it was really finely ground and just so I don't like finely ground beef. I don't like the texture as much, and just in general, um, I've been over ground beef for the last like probably 3 months or so.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the same way. And sometimes ground beef just kind of has a smell and a taste that's like it's not bad, but it's like, you know, kind of like when food in the fridge sort of absorbs the odors of some other very, you know,
Mm.
um smelly or odorous food. And so, it just kind of smells like the rest of your refrigerator, and it's kind of like, ugh. I don't know. So sometimes ground beef can feel like or smell like that to me. Like it's just maybe it's taken on. Maybe there's too many animals. I don't know. That are mixed in. But yeah. So for me, I can get tired of ground beef, and right now I'm definitely not feeling it. And then I think that the histamines can be a deal for people. So I don't know. What do you think?
That might be. I could definitely see that. I know ground beef a lot of times doesn't have. It definitely has a different taste than any other cut of beef, any other prep,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't exactly know why, but maybe that's why I'm more likely to want to have cheese or to actually use spices on ground beef.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Chuck roast, any other kind of roast, all I need to do is salt it, and it tastes great. Steak, all I need to do is salt it. I'm never like looking to add other flavors to those things. Ground beef is the first one where I'm thinking, all right, so if I if I have a taste like for a burger, it's never just a burger by itself. It's always a burger
Mm-hmm.
plus cheese plus maybe something else.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, as a first tip to any of you who are thinking about getting started with World Carnivore Month or with carnivore, is listen to your tastes and your desires, and if you get tired of something, stop eating it.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
no requirement that you do any one thing versus the other. Um, and yeah, ground beef is cheap. You're right. If you get if you get chuck roast on sale, it's for me it's going to be around the price of ground beef and so much more satisfying. It
Hmm.
just tastes better.
Yeah, it's interesting how that is. Like the the roast or a whole cut of meat, it is, I mean, it's sterile until you cut into it. So
Mhm.
it is its own thing. But ground beef can be a mix of, many, many animals. Their meat can go into it. So it can have, the taste is just going to be unpredictable. And of course,
Yeah,
the more it's exposed to air, the more, decay. And so, the higher the histamines, which, I think might be part of, why people, have some disgust. What?
that might be why I don't like finely ground beef
Hmm.
because it has more exposure to the air. Its texture is
Hmm.
the least similar to what that meat was before it was ground up.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Well, so I mean, I've definitely thought about getting a grinder for home and then just grind your own chuck. So that is definitely a thought. I haven't done it yet. Now I see Douglas Somerville says try a smoked chuck roast. Yeah, I mean I can't imagine anything that would taste better. I just need a better, home setup so that I can do smoking. But as soon
Right.
as I have a backyard, I'm gonna have a smoker.
Yeah.
And
That
I saw a stovetop smoker on Amazon, but there were a lot of mixed reviews about it. So I don't know.
I saw an in-house grill even. It was
Hmm.
electric. I don't know how it really worked, but it looked like a Weber grill just for in the house, and it sounds dangerous as hell, but maybe.
Maybe.
Right.
Might be worth
Smoked
it.
chuck roast sounds good though.
Hmm. Yeah, it sure does. Definitely use my smoked salt, so that helps.
Hmm.
It helps to get close to that flavor. So, what would you say is your next top tip? What would you tell people for World Carnivore Month?
Um. Yeah. Well. Yeah. It's what we always talk about, or what I always talk about at least. Salt. So my next tip is don't be afraid of salt.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Use it liberally and just basically throw out if you're new to carnivore, throw out everything that you know about salt, especially if you're not coming from keto. The keto people have a better relationship with salt than the sad folks do. But yeah, if you're eating standard American diet and you come to carnivore, you just basically need to just empty your brain. You're going to be starting a lot of things over. You're going to be unlearning and relearning a lot of things, and one of those is salt. You've been taught that salt is a bad idea. Try to have as little of it as possible. I know people talk about like there are folks who will be surprised and say, "Oh, I have high blood pressure. How does that happen? I don't salt my food."
Hmm. Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, how can I get more salt into my food? Because drinking it kind of works, but not nearly as well. I really need it in the food that I eat. How can I get
Hmm.
more without it tasting disgusting? Because it feels like my body just wants more. It needs more.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that is a great point, is not only unlearn everything you know about salt, but everything you know about anything that has to do with body and nutrition. Everything that you thought was the right thing to do, that's what you gotta throw out and relearn. And just observe your own body. And a lot of this stuff, you will see it happening. It's not like you have to read a study to see what might happen. You can see it happening in your body.
Yeah,
So when you take out the salt, you don't have enough, you feel horrible. You add it in, you feel a lot better almost instantly. So it's a study you can do on yourself and you can see the process.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Very quickly, very, especially for salt, very acutely.
Hmm. And it doesn't have to be, fancy salt. I mean, as long as you're going to go carnivore, you should try to step up your game. So, to the best of your ability, get some sea salt. But if it has to be, the bottle with the girl in the yellow dress, then that's what it has to be. But doesn't matter what kind of salt, and and it might be that you also need to add some electrolytes, which is the combo. So of magnesium, potassium, and sodium.
Yeah,
Hmm.
those seem to be the biggest three. And I would say, as a caveat to that, start with the salt first, and then see if you need to add the others. And if you do, it's probably going to be one of those two: the potassium or the magnesium.
Hmm. Yeah. Now, Douglas says get some liquid smoke. Have you ever used liquid smoke, Arian?
I haven't. Um, I've
Uh
got
huh.
some pork rinds now that have smoke flavor added, and that scares me a little bit because I just the idea of liquid smoke is like it means that it's automatically artificial. Whatever we're talking about, I don't know the process to make that, but I'm a little scared of it.
I don't think that it is. Well, I don't know. I've used it. I've had it. It is very strong. A little goes a very, very long way. And
Yeah,
honestly, it tastes like they rinsed out the barbecue after something was made, and that's the liquid smoke. Like it really just tastes exactly like what you would imagine. So it brings that flavor into whatever it is you're making. I don't think it's like I feel like it's not some concoction that some scientists made up in a lab, but that they just rinsed out, a smoker, and or ran some water over, some of the ashes of something that was burning for the smoking process.
see,
It's good though. It's not. I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean in the best way. It brings that flavor in the water.
no, I'm gonna trust it, and that now makes me want to try some. But that description sounds like so we took ash water and put it in a bottle and gave it to you.
Hmm. I think they filtered it first. I feel like you can be confident that it's filtered. So no little pieces.
Okay,
But
that's
if you have a concern about burned food or barbecued food and you think that that's a carcinogen, then I feel like liquid smoke would be objectionable for that reason.
yeah, makes
But,
sense.
I don't know. I'm not really worried about burned food. Um, I don't know. I spent so many years smoking cigarettes, drinking, eating poorly. Like, I live in New York City. I lived in LA, the smog. I just feel like that's really one of the least of my concerns.
Yeah, and it wouldn't. It doesn't make sense to me, kind of evolutionarily, anthropologically, whatever the word is. Like we were probably cooking big hunks of meat over open fires. They would have gotten some charring on the outside.
Oh, yeah, surely
And,
somebody burned something
right.
weekly.
Yeah. And I don't think that they were then like cutting all that off. Like, oh, no, no, can't eat
Hmm.
this. We're going to be really
It's
careful with
carcinogenic.
this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're going to slice this piece off. I don't want this. Like, I don't think that happened. I bet they probably took that whole hunk of meat and cut it into whatever smaller chunks and
And
said,
I
keep
think
it
some people
yours.
like that burned stuff because didn't you see in the Facebook group this week, was it Mr. Gavel who made
Yeah.
or is that you, Mr. Bogglesworth? You made the big plate of bat wings. I mean, when I first saw this picture, I was
That's what
like,
it looked like.
"Oh my God, I know we're carnivores and we eat meat, but bats, no, not yet."
Oh,
Like the world hasn't come to that yet.
oh,
Why?
those were literally bat wings?
No, 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 no. They were chicken wings, but he was asking the question, are these burnt or, just smoked?
Hmm.
And so I'm like, burnt. But there were definitely people that were like, no, this is it. So I've got to think that in our, evolutionary past, that same breakdown, 60% of the people said, "What? This is burnt." And then 40% said, "No, this is perfect. Thank you. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you're the cook tonight."
It
So,
does make sense to me that so many of us would enjoy that flavor and yet it'd be like that harmful for us.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Those wings looked like leather. Like as I was thinking about, especially they weren't
Yes.
big wings. I was thinking about what it would be like to eat them. Like you're probably getting more char than meat.
I don't know. They definitely look like leather to me. And like, I don't know, from hell too. I mean, not just from Earth, but from hell.
Right. Like I like a little bit of char. If I'm at a cookout, um,
Hmm.
I'm probably not the person who's going to tell someone put the hot dog back on. But
Hmm.
if you give me a hot dog that's dark as the dark parts of this shirt, I'm not going to complain.
Mm.
I just
That
don't
that
taste ash.
yeah. But that being said, I was the person who liked my marshmallow. I put it in the fire, it catches flame, it completely burns up on the outside, and the outside is all crackling and black. And I would eat that. That was my favorite part.
Mm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Okay, so air. I know that was weird. That's weird. I was not a fan of the s'mores. The Getting the marshmallows just perfectly toasted, not my jam. It's just stick them in, get burned up completely, then eat them.
and
And then
see,
the
and
inside is all melty.
yeah, that's a difference too. Like, I don't want it. I don't want that flavor to overtake the flavor of the inside of the thing. I want the inside to taste right, and then I want the outside to be burnt some. That's good.
Hmm.
Like same with hot dogs, the same with marshmallows. What's the other thing? I can't think of it. Oh, I was talking to somebody else. Have you ever had Scrapple? Do they eat Scrapple in New York?
No, I've heard of it. I'm not quite clear on what it is, though.
It's so it's not carnivore, but it's really carnivore like adjacent, I guess. Like it's all the random parts of a pig ground up plus some cornmeal, and you form it into a loaf kind of thing, and then people cut it in slices. And the way to eat that is you want the outsides crispy and you want the inside soft. So you have to
Hmm.
cook it right, and it has to be cut like to the right thickness in order for that to be
Hmm.
possible.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah,
Sounds
outside
interesting.
crispy, inside nice. I do like that on some things. I know I normally am not the crispy person, but sometimes that's what I want. And hot dogs, s'mores,
Hmm.
and Scrapple.
Yeah. Okay. Hot dog, s'mores, and scrapple. Nice. That's quite a combo. Um, all right,
Not
so
together.
so Aaron says I make burgers with ground pork rinds, eggs, Dijon mustard, GQ sugar-free barbecue sauce. Delicious. Ground beef can be boring. There are some emojis, which I think means boring.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that definitely sounds interesting. And I was always a big fan of meatloaf. I couldn't understand why people didn't like it, but that's another way to do something with ground beef that's a little bit more interesting.
Hmm.
So, Tech Mansour, thank you. Unless you were talking to Arian, I don't know.
Appreciate
Arian,
it.
you also look very nice tonight.
Thank you. You as
Yeah,
well.
thank you. So let's see. Tech Mansour says, "New carnivore here. I'm all ears. Keep doing what you all are doing. Our community needs more quality meat as opposed to inflammatory bull stuff, grain-based products." Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Totally agree. Um, and everybody's meat is just getting worse and worse. So many people are, the options that are presented to us are bad. And then, we're told to have less and less meat. And so, people think it's okay, the poorer quality, the poorer quality stuff. So, you know, yeah. But if you can and you do have the option to, try to go to, a local farmer. You might find that the prices are better than what you see in the grocery store. Although you may have to put up a bit of money up front to, buy a quarter cow or something like that. But I don't know. You gotta like check and see. Now, I put out a video this week about Cherie's grass-fed directory.
yeah,
So I didn't get that many views. So I don't know why, but I encourage you to go and check out the link because she has a whole bunch of farms on there, and she's continually adding to the list. And she's traveling through the country, so these are places that she's been to. They're not just random places. So I would definitely go to those and check them out. Hmm.
yeah. This I saw today that apparently the price of food either in the U.S. or in the world is up like 28%, and that's part of what's driving inflation. And I thought once I my freezer is looking pretty good right now, but maybe in a month or so, or really more like 2 3 weeks when it goes down, it might be time to really look for a quarter cow because I'm getting tired
Hmm.
of not being able to find steaks for a decent
Hmm.
price.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what is up with that. The prices, I mean, they've been going up over the course of the whole pandemic, but it seems to be much more noticeable now. And I don't know if that's that eat so little things that I don't really notice. Like, I don't spend
Mm.
time in the grocery store. I don't look at other products, so I like have no idea how much things are supposed to cost. But I am noticing it in the price of the meat. And honestly, it's weird. Maybe it's just where I live, but Whole Foods is cheaper than my local grocery store. So I've been shopping at Whole Foods actually a
Yeah,
lot.
and
Yeah.
I'm finding the store I normally go to, ShopRite, has not been good for meat lately. I'll walk
Mhm.
through there and I'll like. You ever go to the store and you get annoyed that there's nothing there for a price that you feel like paying because you feel like you wasted the trip?
Mhm.
So like I'm
Mhm.
standing in front of the meat section and I'm like looking and looking, and I'll walk over to the pork and I'll think about buying pork, and then I'll walk back over like I don't want any pork, I want beef. Why is all the beef so expensive? And then
Mhm.
yeah, it's been other stores that have actually had the better prices lately.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, okay, so Douglas is must be a master smoker because he says different woods turn meat different colors. For example, cherry turns everything black, and hickory turns meat like chicken and pork brown. Oh, that's
Hmm.
interesting. Okay, all right.
All
So
right.
maybe those were cherry bat wings. I don't know. I don't know.
It might have been. I feel like I gotta find more ways to call things bat wings in my life. That's a thing that I need in my future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I made some wings in the air fryer. They're okay, but I wonder like what do you do to them? Because even when I overcook them in the air fryer, they just get dried out and hard. They don't turn black. Like I'm actually was quite curious as to what happened to those wings. Um,
Maybe it's an open
yeah,
flame thing.
I don't know. Okay, so Deetria says I ground a chuck roast first time. It was a little difficult because the roast had a lot of fat, and I chose the fine blade by mistake. So texture was a bit off, but it came out pretty good. Nice. So tell us where you got the grinder, and what was it expensive? How much did it cost? And let us know. Um, okay, so Kimberly says, "What is the purpose of eating meat if you can't afford grass fed?" Well, I think that meat is very powerful and healing all by itself, even if it is not grass fed. So, you do the best that you can at the time that during the present, and then when you can do differently in the future, if you feel like you need to, you do. So, no.
Yeah, like grass fed seems to make a difference for some people, but like scientifically, I don't know that anything's been proven yet. Um, you can prove a difference between grass fed and uh, regular, yeah, I'll just say regular meat, grain fed meat, but like it's not, there hasn't been any studies to show that like that makes a significant health difference, which
Hmm.
is the big deal for most folks. Like if you're going to drop all plant matter, period, just by being carnivores. So that's going to have a huge amount of benefits because plants don't want to be eaten, so they are fighting against you chemically
Hmm.
after you've eaten them. Um, and you're getting all this protein, you're getting all the nutrients that are in the meat that could be possibly, arguably, a little better if it was grass fed, but grain fed is still going to take you, I would say, probably 90-95% of the way there.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and so I mean, of course, the omega-3 is the big thing that people talk about as one of the benefits of grass-fed, that grass-fed cows have more omega-3 than the grain-fed, and
Mm.
it's a small amount more, but it's not a significant enough difference, in my opinion, to be worth the money and the effort and the extra. So if it was really important for me to have more omega-3, I would say I would go get some salmon. It's, getting it from beef is not the best way. But, I think that you can have, I mean, I think what's important is that you get a healthy animal that's not, pumped full of antibiotics and toxins. And you may be able to get that from a cow that is grain finished. And again, remember, most cows are grass fed. I mean, they spend a big portion of their lives eating grass, and it's the end when they get fattened up. So, depending on how they've been treated, they may be, perfectly healthy and safe to eat, having been grain fed at the end. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure that that distinction between grass-fed and grain-fed gets you the, the perfection that you're looking for. I think you have to look at, the specific farm that, you're getting this from. If this is of a concern to you, you have to look at the specific farm. But I don't know that you even need to be concerned about this in the beginning. I think that you can get amazing benefits and improvements just by starting to eat the meat at your local grocery store. Later on, you may decide that you need to refine and get and make more changes. But I don't know that it's necessary in the beginning.
Yeah, it's definitely not, and that's I see it all the time for newcomers, especially folks who it's it's frustrating to me. So I appreciate that Saladino brings in a lot of new carnivores. I don't like how he brings them in though, because they think that they have to eat organs, they have to eat liver, and then they're on Reddit saying, uh, "Hey guys, I can't stand liver. How do y'all do this? Liver's disgusting. I've never liked it. I'm afraid I can't be carnivore because I don't want to eat liver." And I had this argument with somebody the other day. This literally happened on Reddit the other day, where somebody made that post. They literally said, "How do y'all eat liver? Because I don't like it." And I said, "You don't have to eat liver." And someone goes, "Well, what you got to do is you got to get calf liver." And I said, calf liver tastes to me the same as full grown cow liver. I can't tell the difference. And they said, well, were you eating it from a grass fed local farm? And I said,
Oh
no.
God.
I, I went to the store like 98% of everybody else, and I found calf liver. And yeah, it was gross. Just as gross as cow liver. And they said, "Oh, well, you got to get it this way. You got to get it grass fed." And I paid top dollar for mine because it's that important to me. And I said, "Okay, well, good for you. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
doing that. I'm not spending real meat money on liver." To me, one of the whole joys of organs is that they're cheap because nobody buys them.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
my point is, no one has to have liver, as far as I can tell. And as far as
Mm-hmm.
most carnivores that I know, especially the long term carnivores, folks who have been doing this 10 years plus, organs are not required. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you're going to look online, you're going to look on YouTube, and you're going to see people tooting or touting the benefits of organs, and it all seems great. You're going to try some, you're not going to like it. Don't get discouraged.
Mm-hmm. And remember, for a while there was that deal with like fermented liver or high liver. Did
Oh,
you ever
yeah.
make? Did you ever make that?
Hell no.
I thought about it. I thought about it. I didn't actually do it, but I was gonna give it a try. I mean, you know, people raved about the results.
Ugh. And how
Yeah.
they got, like, literally felt high for a few minutes after they ate it. Nah, y'all can have that. I'm not. I'm good.
Hey, what's wrong with a high? A natural high from some liver? Sure. You know.
No, the high sounds good. I don't want to eat some
Yeah.
food that smells rotten because actually it is rotten. It's just rotten in a way that is still edible.
Yeah. 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 So, well, so I don't know, you know. So I would just say, like, if you can't afford grass fed, it is okay. You can actually do the carnivore diet. Don't worry about it. Get the best meat that you can afford, and leave it at that. That's it.
Yep.
Um, okay. So let's see. Uh, Kimberly asked about what about Butcher Box? Heard a lot of people have dissatisfaction with Butcher Box, so I haven't ordered from them. Um, but I don't know.
Hmm. What were their complaints?
The meat
Just like,
was bad. You know, it was being shipped from Australia. The quality was iffy. You know, like sometimes it would be okay, sometimes it wouldn't. So
damn.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, that answers that. I mean, if I were gonna go through all that effort, unless they're really like there were no farms close to you, um, I would much rather spend that money on a local farm.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. Now Dot Matrix says they want us to give up meat and become vegetarian. 100% agree. Agenda 2030. Yes, yes, all true. All the conspiracies, they're true.
Hmm.
And we'll see what happens. I don't know. Kimberly says people are going to have to go keto instead of carnivore in order to stretch the meat. So, no, no, let's not do that. The benefit of eating this way is that it's so much more filling. So, even compared to keto, I think that um, it is more satisfying and filling, and you get a longer lasting feeling of satisfaction. So, you don't have to. You don't have to like fill up on the starvation foods to stretch the meat. Um, we're not there yet. We may get there, but we're not there yet. Um, yeah.
And I think she might have been at that point still operating under the assumption that like you have to go grass fed. At which point, yeah,
Mm,
it may be it's going to be too expensive for some people.
hmm.
But when you're talking regular meat and you are finding ways to, you're utilizing some of these strategies that we're talking about, like buying in bulk, buying bigger bigger amounts of food and buying ground beef or organs sometimes, or some of the cheaper cuts. That, I guess, yeah, that's the tip number. What are we on? Like probably 4 or 5 by now. Like,
Hmm.
buy the cheaper cuts and learn how to cook them. Chuck roast
You got to
especially.
learn how to cook, period,
Yeah.
on carnivore. I mean, it is important. I think that you can't really eat well when you're eating out all the time. You can eat okay when you're eating out occasionally, but if you're doing it all the time, it becomes really hard, and it's so
Yes.
hard to control what you're eating. And you have to know that every single restaurant is using soybean oil. So there is no way to get out of the whole vegetable oils, paradigm, unless you're eating at a fancy steakhouse every night. And so yeah, that's the hardest part, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, having just come back from a trip away, and due to there was a snowstorm in the Mid Atlantic, Baltimore, D.C. area, and it screwed me up. So I spent an extra day there, an extra day out of
Hmm.
town that I had
Oh
planned.
wow.
Yeah, that was a good time getting to the airport and being told, "Oh, as I find out as I reach the airport, my flight's canceled, and
Oh God.
they don't. There's no hotel voucher, so I just have to pay for an extra day or spend the night in the airport."
Oh.
Good times. Um, but beyond that, just being out where you can't eat food that you cooked, I came home and I appreciated my kitchen so
Mm,
much. Like, that's why I took all that food out. I took the ground beef out, took the bacon and the chuck roast out, and I went to town that next day because I could
mhm,
finally just eat what I felt like eating without having to think about, God, this this one barbecue place. So I'm in Tennessee,
mhm.
so I'm thinking I have to get barbecue while I'm here, and I got pulled
Yeah.
pork. Pulled pork is everywhere. Brisket,
Mhm. Because it's so expensive, is that the deal?
that was the problem
Wow.
at one time, and then the other time this place was just out of brisket. So that sucked. They didn't
Oh.
have brisket in the first place I tried to go, which was a black owned restaurant. I was so happy to find a black owned place just on accident, and then they don't have brisket. So I ended up eating pulled pork, and
Ugh.
they it
So
was
I guess
weird.
that means you need to go first thing in the morning. When you're
I
going for
guess so.
brisket, you got to be first.
Right. And that's where I screwed up because it was definitely like 9, 10 at night. Like, I was there like probably a half
Oh
hour
yeah.
before they closed. And then
Oh
the
yeah.
second place I tried to go to, they wanted $20 for a pound of brisket. I'm not doing that. I'm
Mm.
not spending that much.
Well, the place that I went to in North Carolina, in back in March, one of the places, I feel like it was like 30. I think I had gotten a pound, and I swear it was like 34 or $38. And I was like, that's what I pay in New York. Are you kidding me?
Yep.
But then I ate it, and it was worth every penny. I mean, it was literally the best smoked brisket I have ever had. It was so good. I think about it today, even. So, yeah, so I don't know. But they were saying, "Oh, it's the price of meat." And I'm like, "Come on, this is
No.
ridiculous. I'm in New
Not,
York, and this is the price that we pay. What?
yeah.
What is the deal?"
Yeah.
But
For some
anyway.
reason, restaurants
Mhm.
on the brisket, they charge you through the nose pretty
Yeah.
much everywhere I've gone. And I just, at that point, I was not prepared to pay that much, even though I knew, like, all right, so this is brisket, which starts as a cheapish cut of meat, but then
Mhm.
they're cooking it for hours and hours to get it tender. And I know they're figuring some of that time into the price. Brisket's not something that you can do
Mhm.
quickly. There's probably a lot of loss because you're going to cook a certain amount every day, and whatever you don't sell through, um, you might be throwing that away. So I'm paying for that too. Plus, I'm paying a restaurant markup. I understand all that. I was not trying to pay that much.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, Elle says she puts liquid smoke on each side of the steak when she can't grill it. Now, that sounds, I don't, I know that I gave a weird description of liquid smoke, but for all of you watching and for you, Arian, like, don't count it out. You know, I don't know that it is necessarily bad, but I will say a little goes a very long way. So it's just like the tiniest drop is necessary.
I'm gonna try some. The next time I'm
Mm-hmm.
at the store, I'm getting some liquid smoke.
Mm-hmm. And it's surprising that I see it in every grocery store. Like until I bought it and knew what I was looking for, I'd never seen it. And then now it's like I see it all the time. And
Mm.
it's, it's always there. So people, I guess, still use it. Um, Now Kimberly says, what about the omega-6 in the non-grass-fed beef? So the deal
I
with
think
the
we answered that.
omega-6, it's not the cow, it's the chicken and the pork where that's the concern.
Yeah,
So the cow, is a ruminant animal, and because of the way they digest it, they're turning the omega-6 is actually into saturated fat, which is a stable fat, and which is what we ideally want to run on. And when you're fat burning, that is what you run on. So it is not an omega-6 when you're eating it on the cow, but it is when you're eating it on the pig or on the chicken or on the
yeah.
human in the case of a zombie apocalypse. So,
I mean, zombies are carnivores. That's an audience that we haven't tapped into.
right? And for all the people who are getting themselves ready for the apocalypse. Well, I'm really excited. I'm gonna watch that movie tonight. I watched oh my God, I want to say it was it's not
Army of the
Army of
Dead.
Dark. Maybe yeah, it was Army of the Dead. That movie about like the casino heist in the zombie apocalypse.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
Yeah.
saw that, but then there's a prequel that I'm gonna watch later tonight. So
Oh,
excited about that.
okay. Yeah. So you saw the one. Yeah, it's Army of the Dead, and then what? I cannot
I can't
remember the name
remember.
of the one before, but it's about that. It's about a couple of the people who are in that heist.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great movies. At least the
Yeah.
first one. I haven't seen the prequel yet either, but that other one was great.
Yeah. I was not expecting that. The opening, it was like, a good 10 minutes of just like, wow, wow. And they did an amazing job of wrapping up. It's like that could have been its own movie all by itself. And they did an amazing job of wrapping up a whole movie, making sure you fully understand everything in just a few minutes with no words. And it was great. So,
Yeah,
if you haven't seen it, definitely see it. And it's like they put all the things together. Like if you like a heist movie, you got a heist movie. If you like comedy, you got some comedy. If you like zombies, you got some zombies. All of
yeah,
it together. It was
yeah.
great.
And
Um,
Batista's in it. So yeah, great times.
and they had a whole character that they wiped out of the whole movie and replaced it with another character who didn't act in the movie with any of the other characters. That's
Yeah.
crazy too. Yeah. Um, okay, so to get back to carnivore stuff, Elle says, I don't think anyone really knows what Scrapple is. In the South, we had something called Hogshead Cheese. Yeah, I think that is a common thing all over the world. I know, like, the Russians also call it, like, I feel like they call it Hogshead Cheese, but they definitely have that.
People have found ways, probably everywhere where
Hmm.
pigs are eaten, to use all the other parts of the pig, and that's basically
Or,
all this stuff is.
yeah, or all the animal. I mean, we're resourceful people. We don't like waste.
Yeah,
Okay, I had a bowl of ground beef with flaky sea salt for lunch and dinner today. Just couldn't be bothered to deal with thinking about the meals. It was tasty, hit the spot, fuel.
yeah,
Nice. Exactly. We need to remember this. Food is fuel at the end of the day.
yeah. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be fancy all the time. It just needs to
Hmm.
do its job.
Yeah. And Deetria says electric meat grinder Albosi on Amazon, $68. Seems good for a home. Comes with multiple blades and sausage making component. Grinding myself felt better than buying. So yeah, I would actually, really be interested in that. I'm not super excited about the ground beef that I've been coming across.
Hmm.
Um, but everybody, if you're gonna order it, don't all order it before we finish the live stream and I don't get a chance. Because that's what's happened in the past when I've talked about stuff. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Hmm.
Douglas
It's not
is
a bad
having,
price.
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Douglas has been eating more chuck roast now than in the past. Yeah. Kimberly says, yes, regular meat is doable right now. When I buy meat, I buy half grass fed and half regular so that I can afford it. I could buy more for me and my two adolescent daughters if I bought all meat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, oh, see, this was your problem. Tennessee is more of a pork barbecue place.
Mm, that
Yeah.
would make sense. These places,
And Douglas says $20 for a pound of brisket is good in the Northeast. I agree. Like that price is better.
I mean, it didn't. I don't know how. All right, so let's start here because I don't think I've ever actually bought a brisket. How much is it to just buy a brisket at the store that you are going to cook yourself? Raw, fresh brisket.
So I see it like at Whole Foods for like 9.99, 10.99,
Mm,
and they've usually trimmed it so it's mostly meat, not that much fat.
hmm.
Um, so yeah, so that doesn't even include like the smoking and the work of it.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe 20 was a decent price. I just know. So here was my thought process. This was like going to be my big meal of the day. Um, so to think about spending $20 on top of what I had already spent on eating that day, and that was just to feed me, versus what I spend at the grocery store to eat, um, it was more than I wanted to spend. But probably had I been eating home cooked food for the rest of that trip, and this was like one of my few splurges that whole time, $20 probably wouldn't be bad. Because you're
I
right, that
mean,
makes.
I think with carnivore eating, like you have to reset your idea about how much money you're laying out for food when you're going out. It's going to be expensive for you to eat comfortably when you're out. That's just the reality of it. Meat is expensive. Restaurants, try to fill you up on a lot of carbs, which is cheaper, because those things are subsidized. Nobody in the US is paying the real cost of what a vegetable or grain, well, the vegetables aren't so much subsidized, but the grain,
Yeah.
nobody's paying the real cost of that. So uh so that the restaurants like try to skimp on the meat with that. So it's just you're going to spend a lot of money when you're out, and that's just the reality of it. But at the end of the day, you're healthier and there's other things that you're going to spend less money on, but you
Yeah.
will spend money on food when you're out.
So yeah, don't be out all. Tip number 99: don't be out for 5 days with no place to cook because you're gonna
Yeah,
blow up your paycheck.
try to get an Airbnb, try to travel with some food, try to make some jerky. I have said, like, if you make your own jerky, or if you get, like, the carnivore crisps are good, they're just really expensive, but that's food, that's real food. So,
Mhm.
that can be your meal, if need be. So travel with some emergency food.
Yeah, I did
Hmm.
have. I still have some hard turkey left, so I had a sandwich sized bag of that, and I
Hmm.
ate most of it while I was there. It got me through a couple times, a couple
Yeah,
months of not having anything to eat.
yeah. Okay, so Mandel asked what's the name of the movie. I don't know. We couldn't remember it. But if you look up Army of the Dead, you will find the original movie, and then from there, I'm sure Netflix will suggest the other one.
It's okay.
Um,
So Army of
mhm.
the Dead and Army of Thieves.
Oh, okay, Army of Thieves. That's the one I'm going to watch tonight.
Yeah,
Okay, so Kimberly says, "Wow, that's good to know that I can just buy all regular beef. I always buy organs of chicken." Um, I don't, yeah, you can get any of it, all of it. Um, get organs from different animals and from the cow. The cow is a good solid animal to get to eat. It is good for you in a lot of ways. And it's a perfect sort of factory that's able to take this, substance that is not edible for humans and turn it into a high quality protein that is really edible for us. So um, that's what a cow can do that the chicken and the pork cannot do. The chicken and the pork are smaller, they grow up faster, they're easier to kind of keep local, but the cow is king for a reason.
yeah.
Hmm.
God, I love cows.
Um, Meat Based Musing says she usually sees brisket for $6 a pound. Lucky you. I don't know where you are, but lucky you.
Right?
Yeah. Um,
Mandel was taught you eat everything but the squeal.
oh, I didn't get that at first.
I like it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And Mandel says chuck roast is my go-to. Easy in South Carolina. Brisket is well under $10. I've seen it for $5 a pound, and it looks like bacon. If you marinate, soak it a day or more, and cook it slowly, it's lovely. Yeah. Wow. Look at all these people. Great prices.
Yeah,
Brisket at Heb is $5.14 a pound regular and $5.65 a pound for grass fed.
that's
Okay,
it.
if that's it, fine. Then yes, everyone get grass fed.
Yeah.
For
So,
me, the difference in price is like $3 or $4 a pound. It is significant.
dude,
If it were
the
only 50 cents, sure. Yeah.
so Kimberly, I'm gonna need you to go to Texas and buy all your grass-fed beef there, because wherever you
Yeah.
are is clearly not Texas, and I guess I need to take myself to Texas because 50 cents more. It's yeah,
Mhm.
it's $3 4 here. I think the grass-fed ground beef here is like $6 7 a pound.
Now that's interesting because I think that's how much it is here. I think.
And see,
Yeah, these prices are crazy. And then, right before Christmas, there were places, I mean, everyone was having some sales on prime rib, but I I saw Esther was talking about where she was. It was, there was a sale for like 5.69 a pound. I was just like, man, for the price that I paid, it would be cheaper if I flew to where she was, bought all of it, and flew home again. It still
hmm
would probably cost me less than what I spent to get that roast.
right, like mail it to yourself in a freezer bag or packed in dry ice or something. Like that's
Well, she did that
ridiculous.
for me. Like it was so, the cost that she did that with some fat. The the money to ship it was like huge. The money to buy it was like nothing. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So R Jones says at a reputable barbecue place, 20 to $25 a pound for a cooked brisket is typical. Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
All right, so
Um,
I'm just not buying brisket unless I'm feeling like a money bags that day. That's what that means for cooked brisket.
See, I would buy it at any time, any place, because there is nowhere else that I can get smoked brisket. Like in New York, the one place that was really, really good, they had a fire and they've never reopened. And yeah. And we just there's not a lot of barbecue places in New York, and they're not great. And so, yeah, I mean, if I go south, that's all I want. That's it. In fact, I should make a plan to get south. Maybe I'll come down the DC
Yeah,
area. Hmm.
yeah. In fact, see, this makes me. I just. This is how money just does not stay in my wallet because now I'm feeling like I need to check out I need to like look up a barbecue place around here because we have the spots that like you drive by and you just see the smoke coming out of the building and you know that
Hmm.
they've been running all day probably.
Hmm. Ugh, lucky you. Here in the summertime, in the like I've noticed this in Jamaican neighborhoods in front of the restaurants, they'll have smokers running on the sidewalk all day long, which is totally not legal, but they do it. But it's great, but that's only during the summer. They don't do that in the winter. So, okay, so Mandel says beef in Texas is like lobster in Maine. You can pet your lunch on the way into the store. Chicken and pork in Eastern Carolina and Virginia super cheap if you visit the country. Yeah, I can imagine it.
Good stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, you all are getting great prices. So, I guess the point of this is also, and I think I want to do a video on this about food prep and everything. So the thing that I do now that I did not used to do is I regularly look through the stores or go to the store website and I look to see where there's sales. And wherever there's a sale, I go and I buy all of the meat. It doesn't matter how much it costs because I'm going to eat it all at some point, and I just buy all of it. And then when I get home, I process it and I basically, cut, if it's a roast or a hunk of meat, I cut it into 1 pound, 1 pound pieces. And then I defrost only 1 pound at a time. And so, and that is like, you know, half a day or three-quarters of a day of food. And so I never really have much meat that's defrosting at any one time. So if you look in my refrigerator, there's like almost nothing there. But I think
Yeah.
that's the kind of the best way to go about it. So I know people complain about the price, but like if you get a little bit organized, you can get some very good prices.
Yeah. And so I don't do the breaking up of packages for the most part unless I'm buying something that's like 6 pounds or something. Like if it's more than three, I'm gonna break that up. But anything 3 pounds and under, like this chuck roast I cooked was like 3.25 pounds or so. I just cooked that all at once. I'll be eating on that probably until tomorrow night, maybe through Saturday afternoon or so. It'll be fine. It's not gonna go bad in that time. But definitely buy when you find a sale, buy it all. This is the time to be a savage. Don't be nice. Buy everything that there is. They can put more out. They will put more out, and
Well, yes,
have the
and
freezer space.
also if you see the butcher, ask them if they have any more. I've definitely done that too. Yeah.
Like, oh, I've already got 10 pounds of this, but it's on sale. Do you have any more?
Mhm. Mhm. If it's a good sale, yeah. I mean, they only want to sell. So if you want to buy, I mean, some of them of course will be like, "What are you doing? Are you having a dinner party or a barbecue?" But you know, they want to sell and you want to buy. So there's no problem.
Yeah,
But get lots of aluminum foil so you can break it up. And I find, I don't know about you, Arian, but I find that the cellophane that, the stuff is wrapped in, it doesn't really, it's not a good, it doesn't hold up well in the freezer. So I unwrap everything and wrap it up in aluminum foil, and, myself.
really.
Yeah.
Um, what's wrong with the cellophane?
I don't know. I find stuff gets freezer burn or when cuz like when it's in the cellophane and it's on like a plastic tray, there's areas that are not like that are exposed to air inside the package, and so the freezer burn happens in those areas.
Mm,
Hmm.
no,
I
so I
mean, it's okay for if it's for a couple of days, but if it's going to be like a month in there,
oh yeah, I don't have that issue. I guess they're packing stuff differently
mm,
down here or at the stores I go to.
hmm yeah. Okay, guys. So, hey, Heather G, so glad you're here. Welcome. So I hope that that helps you kind of get some ideas and get excited about doing, the World Carnivore Month. We didn't go into as many details as we usually do, but hopefully you saw our sparkling wit, how fun we are, and you're inspired by, what kind of delightful personality and energy and verve you can have on the carnivore diet, right?
Yeah, um, and 8A is doing these videos. You've been doing a lot of short, informational videos lately, so a lot of those will answer questions that people have. Like I know you just did one about can I eat carnivore forever? I haven't watched it, but I can guess what the answer is. Um,
Yeah, it's on the thumbnail. Yes, please.
right? Yes, 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 you can. Like so. Um, a lot of your common questions are going to be answered in those videos. We've got the
Hmm.
carnivore 101 type videos too. If you go to the page and look through what's there.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to keep doing as many as I can for as long as I can. I'm really just answering questions that people have asked me or that I've seen in the Facebook group or seen around. So if you have a question that you want me to tackle, definitely send me a DM or put a message up here on YouTube, and I'll do that because. I think that there are some, there are definitely just some like confused ideas out there that I think come from having a lot of people who are now, really excited about carnivore and talking about it, but sending lots of mixed messages about, what to do. And I was, um, yeah, there's some people who have some really, difficult I don't know, a difficult approach. So I just don't want you all to be confused. Like, this is a
Yeah,
great way to eat. Your health will be so, so much improved. But, don't make it harder on yourself by trying to do things that are weird.
right. And I
Hmm.
think I definitely believe in Eddie. I think you would agree that one of the joys of carnivore is how simple it is. And
Hmm.
um, but folks love to dig into the details and make things more complicated than they need to be. I love
Hmm.
the comment from earlier where I can't remember who said it, but they just didn't know what to eat, so they cooked some ground beef, and
Hmm.
that was all they ground beef and some like coarse salt, like good, easy,
Hmm.
got it done. Dinner is figured out. Like it can
Hmm.
be that simple. It doesn't need to be more than that.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, this is why I love my chuck chunks. It's 6 to 8 minutes in the air fryer and we're done. It's fast and absolutely delicious every single time. And so there isn't anything wrong with relying on like one thing, but you gotta, well, yeah, you gotta like let it be simple. That is what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, trust the
Uh,
process.
yeah. So Dot Matrix says, "Have you ever made pemmican?" I have not, but you have, Arian.
I have. It tastes like meat sawdust. So I
Yeah.
I actually I was in the store yesterday just looking around. Sometimes I'll look at the aisles of stuff that I'm not gonna buy just to see what's there. And I saw a jerky, and store bought jerky is kind of invariably trash in some way. Like it's better than eating junk food, but it just about always is marinated in something that has a bunch of sugar in it for no reason, because jerky does not need sugar. I make my own jerky just with salt.
I
But
saw
they
some
have,
at the 7-Eleven that said sugar free, and I was like, yes. And then I look at the
right.
ingredients, and it's like soy sauce, and I was like, oh,
Why? It doesn't.
yeah.
Okay. So, um, this stuff, there's a like, there's one brand of sugar free that I don't like because they overspice it instead of just letting it be meat. So it tastes terrible. Um, but this stuff was labeled pemmican, the stuff in the store yesterday, but it wasn't pemmican. It wasn't at all pemmican. Pemmican is jerky that has had the bejesus dried out of it and then ground up and then mixed with fat. That's what pemmican is. This stuff was plain jerky, but it said pemmican on the bag for some reason. I guess somebody heard that pemmican was a cool thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, gosh. So, I don't know, Dot Matrix. I don't know why you would choose pemmican. Yeah, because if you can make jerky that will last, it can last as long, um, and it doesn't quite taste the same. And if you
You-
can use the jerky to dip fat, then you're good.
yep. Or if your jerky has fat already on it, like if you make
Yeah.
jerky out of chuck roast, or what I've got right now is heart jerky that see, all right, Heather G.
Hmm.
I like my heart jerky. I like my chuck roast jerky. There are
Hmm.
things that I like, but I also am
Hmm.
passionate about things I don't like. But
Yeah.
the heart now, since I'm buying whole hearts, they have the fat on them, so
Hmm.
it'll be a like what's that word? A sliver of meat, and then around the edge will be fat,
Hmm. Wait,
and I'll
where
eat
did
that
you
for bread.
find this? Because you were finding pre-sliced heart before. Where did you
Yep.
find the whole ones?
I had to go to a blacker, more hood grocery store, and
Okay.
inside there, they that was where the calf liver was too. So they have calf liver
Uh-huh.
that's pre-frozen, and
Hmm.
you can get whole hearts there. It's just
Okay.
in a package. It looks kind of gross if you've never seen one before, but there it is.
Looks like a heart. Yeah.
Right.
Heather, thank you so much for the super chat. And, to everyone, this is, it's really wonderful and helpful for me to have these, for you to make these contributions. This is how we can continue to provide this free and wonderful content. I hope you're enjoying it all.
Right.
Yeah, doing my best and trying to, get your questions answered and see more of you, turn around your diabetes, your high blood pressure, your, obesity, and all the others, and normalize blood glucose and other blood markers. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's why
awesome.
we do
And
it.
if you can't send a super chat, at least click that like button.
Hmm. Thank you, thank you, and subscribe, and
Right.
subscribe. Yeah,
Do the things. Click the buttons.
yeah. Mandel says I did Chuck Chunks at my sister's over Christmas. First time I got the kids to forego processed foods. They filled up on nutrition. I felt very accomplished. Yes, exactly. Yeah, it definitely is like toddler food. It's little finger sized bites of meat that is just, single bites. So I feel, childish, but it's delicious.
Hey,
Yeah.
whatever works.
Um, And Heather says we need a stream where Arian tells us what he does like. What what do you like? You like a lot of things.
I
What
do.
does that mean? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Mendel was saying my dad has bad teeth. Last time I tried the blender up beef, it didn't work. I tried beef mixed with about the same amount of butter, let it sit for a few minutes, and the blender can handle it. Um, blending up meat is, it's an art. It seems like it should be really simple, but I don't feel like it is, to make it taste good and be something that you want to eat.
Mm.
So if it didn't work out, I'm not surprised. Even
I,
pate, I feel like the next time I make it, I'm gonna push it through a mesh strain so I can pull out like the gritty bits of liver.
yeah, and those like the pieces of uh, tendons, I guess,
Hmm.
that are
Yeah.
in liver. Like there's those gristly parts,
Hmm.
and they mess up the texture of your pate.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna put it through a mesh strainer and and really try to get it fluffy. Like I've seen some places where it's like mousse, and I don't know how they do that, but I think that they do strain it. That's one thing they do.
That
So,
makes
and
sense.
then whatever I strain out, I guess my dog will eat. She likes liver a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, for all of you watching, I hope that this was helpful to you and that you are, starting out 2022 a solid carnivore. I have a lot of I love resolutions. I have a lot of resolutions, but I'm feeling like a desire to do a beef thing for a while. Excuse me. So I'm gonna do more beef, definitely, and I'm gonna keep taping my mouth. I'm really surprised at how wonderful that is for my sleep. So I do encourage you all, if you didn't watch last week's live stream where I talked about it, to give it a try. It's surprisingly helpful. I know I just yawned, but that's because I went to bed really late last night and I got up early this morning. So, yeah,
That do it.
yeah. All right, everybody. Let's see. Oh, Dot Matrix says you were talking about road food. I believe native people used it as a winter survival food. It just came to mind. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Pemmican was used as, well, food on the road, and and they traded it, and it was safety food. So yeah, you're totally right. It wasn't like everyday stuff. And I think, for their purposes it was great. But now that we have the ability to make jerky much more easily, we don't have to make pemmican in the way that they did. So yeah. All right, everybody. So it was great to hang out with you, and I will see you all next week. And we have great interviews lined up for Tuesday. So make sure that you come and check that out. I hope you've been enjoying. Last week or this week, we didn't even talk about this, but we had the interview with Lawrence about his near fatal experience with COVID. And that was, a really fascinating story. So I hope you all have a chance to watch that. And yeah, let's chat next week.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. See you.
Bye.